Welcome to round 3 of Swiss, once again taken from the Store Championships of Worcester, held on March the 8th, 2014. Myself on the right there once more playing Chaos Theory, and we have Sam from Coventry in the left there playing NBN The World Is Yours. I didn't take a mulligan, Sam did, so I've skipped the bit where we do extra amounts of shuffling and just kind of move forward. You can see from hand there I've got quite a nice hand. I've got a test run, a magnum opus, and a count siphon. All good elements of an initial strong opening play. Sam's deck is full of little tricks and surprises actually. He goes on to do very well. I won't try and spoil too much, but certainly he makes top 8 comfortably, needless to say, and you will see more of him. This was probably my toughest matchup of the day in terms of sort of how we all panned out in the final rankings of Swiss. And so he starts off with a hedge fund, so a very strong way to get some early cash with his slightly smaller deck. And again, it was nice to see lots of people from different places and people I hadn't played before, which is always a nice thing. He's going to ice up R&D and ice up HQ. So the perfect start, effectively, depending on what that ice is, of course. I'm going to run HQ, which he will not res, and see a toll booth. He has the money to res a huge amount, and certainly had the money there to res that toll booth, so it's interesting he didn't play it on R&D. I'm going to hit a wraparound there on R&D, second click. So I could go and test run what I need. Don't particularly want to have to test run a fem over a wraparound. 2 magnum opuses. So I'm going to play one of them. Third click, and then click for 2 credits. Final click. Taking me up to 2 credits. Still getting a horrible amount of glare there off, even though these are non-glare sleeves. So I'll do my best to try and remember what's down where. He's going to sweep sweep. I've got 4 cards in hand, so he takes 3 credits. He's going to restructure, so plenty of cash now at this stage, certainly to sustain him for the foreseeable future. I know he has the toll booth in hand, which is going to make a very tempting target for for a remote. He's going to draw. I've drawn up into a scavenge there, and to another magnum opus, which is precisely what I don't need now at this stage. I'm going to take 4 credits and discard the spare opus, or one of them I should say. So I've seen all 3 opuses now. He's going to install into remote, which is a Jackson Howard, which he will res and use to draw, second click. And he's going to do the same. So accelerating through his deck, he's got the money now. He probably looking for agendas to score, to be fair. It looks like he probably didn't have any there in his opening hand. If he did, probably only one. Scoring that early Astro being paramount in NBN. Assuming it's a fast advanced deck. It could of course be mid-seasons. He could be looking for a mid-seasons Scorched. It's always an option, something to be aware of with this kind of deck. It's a very strong kind of deck, so Plascrete should still probably be a priority here. I'm going to run HQ here, first click, and see what he has. See if he's going to res anything. He's looking... Oh, he's going to... Sorry, oh no, I'm running... Oh, running the Jackson. Right, sorry, yeah, okay, running the Jackson, and he is using it. For some reason, the table's doing a little dance. But so I ran the Jackson, he used the Jackson, and he's going to put the hedge fund, the sweep sweep, and the restructure back in the deck, leaving 1 face-down card. At which point he shuffles. So it's... Again, I didn't really want to leave the Jackson Howard on the board. At that point, he's already accelerating through his deck, trying to find stuff. If it's ice he's short of, well, the last thing I need him to do is be finding ice. If he's agenda flooded, the last thing I want him to do is dump a whole bunch of agendas. Leaving Jackson Howard early game can be a very dangerous move. And if it's a combo deck, which there was a couple at this month's tournament, Jackson Howard's a very important part of it. So I'll run HQ and run headlong in there into a roto turret, losing my magnum opus once more. I'm not overly concerned. I have another magnum opus in hand, though I probably should stop doing that, face checking with a magnum. Don't have the means to break it currently, though it does mean now that a fem on the wraparound isn't an unappealing target. I can still use the fem to break the roto turret on HQ and put a lot of central pressure. I'm figuring at this stage that he may not have a huge amount of ice in hand. Again, otherwise he probably wouldn't be using his Jackson Howard aggressively. So I will take some cash and I'll pass the turn over. So I'm up to 8 credits. I have the ability, obviously with a scavenge in hand, to go and fetch the Fem for 3, scavenge it and keep it. So that's not exactly bad. He's going to install into a remote, send the ice over remote I should say. Is he going to put anything there? He is. So now I have a far more tempting target for my Fem, in the shape of that remote server. So I could test run for the Fem, stick it on the remote, run, and then scavenge it over perhaps to the wraparound, which gives me access pretty much to all the servers I need. It'll take my whole turn, but it will mean that I get some cheap access, effectively access for 3 and a few clicks, so that's nice. It could of course be another Jackson Howard, which he's looking to protect. It could be a Sansan. I need to be aware of the Sansan because I don't want to run it and then have to not be able to afford to trash it, which is why I'm taking money first click. So second click I will test run, paying the 3, leaving me with 6 credits, which should be enough to bypass the piece of ice, assuming it's a 1 subroutine piece of ice. If it's a 2 subroutine piece of ice, then I could be in trouble. And then trash the Sansan and still have time to scavenge it. So that was why I took a credit first. Kind of wish you had the Magnum out still to be able to click for 2 credits there, which would have been enough to break a 2 subroutine server. So no res. I'm going to score the Beal, at which point I will then move the bypass over to the wraparound and pass the turn over. I don't have any other tutoring in hand currently, so it seems to be the sensible way to go. Put pressure on R&D, make him ice it up, and at the same time I can use the same old thing I have in hand to replay a scavenge and move it back over to the remote if required. Early 2 points though, and putting pressure on those centrals now as well. I'm kind of hoping it was an Astro script. Denying MBN their early Astro is a big deal, as I've already mentioned. He's going to install an advance once, making me think it's probably a character assassination, possibly a market research. It could be a trap, but at 1 advancement, not a huge not a huge problem. So I have the same old thing, which I could play, use, and then run on that remote server and steal the agenda, if it is an agenda, which I'm assuming at this stage it probably is. I don't have a huge amount of cards in hand either, so I do have to be careful here about dropping my hand size too much and running on a small amount of cards. But it's obviously it's a full turn to go in and take that with a Fem. I'd have to play the same old thing, which I'm going to do. I'm going to have to use both clicks then to use it to play the scavenge once more. Scavenge the Fem, move it over to the remote server, final click run, and access. I'll take the character assassination. Again, the problem here is that this deck is very much reliant on those early doors aggression, and once that early door aggression goes away, it can slow down quite significantly, especially because I've lost my magnum opus here. And for some reason, I'm not quite sure why, but the table is doing a little jig. I apologise there for not being steady. Obviously my tripod wasn't quite set right. I was leaning on the table. Either that or someone's getting incredibly excited down the other end of the table. So first click I will draw, second click I'll draw, take my hand size back up, I've got the magnum still there to play. Third click I will draw again, seeing a levy. I've got a corroder in hand now as well, so no need to keep the Fem on the wraparound. Move the Fem to the wraparound. And I'm just having a little think here. Obviously I can gain accesses to HQ, but at the same time I have the option here of installing another magnum opus. I'm going to discard the levy, don't really need it there at this point. And it's fine, I've got 3 same old things in the deck, so chances are if it ever does get dicey I can just use the same old thing to bring it back out again. And start from scratch. It's going to ice up archives. Does prevent me from using the one-off sneak door beta. He's going to ice up HQ, so probably has a fair few agendas in hand there. He may be paranoid about a sneak door beta. Again, leads me to believe he probably has a fair few in hand there. He still has plenty of cash, 16 credits. I'm going to install the corroder, and again I think this is possibly a misplay here. I would have been better off playing patiently, playing the Magnum, taking 6, and preparing to continue running aggressively. I've only got 4 credits, and I'm not sure if running against R&D here is the smart play. I probably should have just built and just taken my time. Second click, I said I was going to run against HQ, which, as I said, you know, prior 10, felt like he had agendas in hand. I'm going to break the roto with the Fem, but with 6 cards in hand, the odds of seeing an agenda, if there's only 1 or 2, is quite slim. But we'll have a look nevertheless and see an Enigma, which will lock me out, but good, as I don't have the code gate breaker yet. Have an indexing in hand though, and now I'm in a real financial situation. I can go in and account siphon him, which is probably going to be my next play, and take a credit. So it costs me 3 to get through to HQ at the moment. He's going to power shut down for 2, getting rid of my Corroder, causing me problems long term on R&D there. Again, power shut down of such a strong card. Discards 2, and that's that's obviously the reason why there he iced over archives, just in case a stray agenda or 2 finds its way into archives there. He now has built-in protection for it. And again, as I was saying in the previous cast, always the right play to ice up before you are forced to mill into archives, just purely and simply because that way you're not giving any kind of signal as to whether there's an agenda there or not. You're simply saying, I'm not taking the chance. If there is an agenda there, it's already protected. If there's not, well, that's fine too. So it's going to double ice the remote and install into it. So although the innermost piece of ice is femmed, the outermost piece of ice is almost certainly that Enigma we've just seen. And the chance of me going in there and being able to score that at 2 credits are rather slim, so I've taken 2. I'm going to account siphon, so I have the ability to go in and get the cash. But I'm almost certain that that piece of ice he's just installed there on that remote is an Enigma. And I don't have the means to go in and get that and break it at this stage. But I will go ahead and take 10 and clear the 2 tags, taking me back up to 6 credits. He still has plenty of cash, but he will triple advance and score. Sorry, double advance. No, you'll triple advance and score the Astroscript, not the agenda that I wanted to see being scored across the table. So he now has the advancement counter to be able to start accelerating through his deck, and scoring at agendas out of hand. Still has 8 credits as well. My runs there on HQ funding him effectively with pop-up window. Pop-up window is one of those cards you love seeing on the outside of your centrals, but not necessarily on the inside. So I will play the Magnum Opus here, and I will take 6. So I'm going to pass the turn back over. I'll take 4, I think. So hoping now, beyond hope, that he can't just Astroscript chain for the win, effectively. If he sees another Astroscript, I'm in a heap of trouble now, even without the Res Sanson. You cannot leave face-down cards alone with MBM. Once they get started, they do not stop. And there's no doubt the power shutdown has slowed my rig down. I went from having an almost complete breaker suite to not. But still lacking any kind of tutoring to find a code gate breaker, which again I'm still expecting to see that Enigma somewhere, either on R&D or on in the remote. He's going to install another card there. Could be a Jackson Howard, could be a 4-point agenda, which he's looking to take out of hand, since HQ is the only real vulnerable server at the moment. Could be he's risking it and putting another Astroscript down there, and having two Astro tokens is a big deal. Big deal, you might say. Yeah, sorry about that. So first click I will run. And yep, funnily enough, see the Enigma lose my second click. I wasn't going to risk it, I was going to have a look regardless. Again, without any tutoring in hand, there wasn't a lot of point going to fetch my Gordian Blade. Oh, I tell a lie, I did have a test run. Okay, that was probably a little bit foolish then. So I will go and fetch the Gordian Blade. I should have done that first, really, because I should have clocked and clicked that it was most certainly the Enigma I'd seen earlier in hand. But again, that's one of the things that's a lot easier to do when you're looking back at the casts, rather than otherwise. So I'm going to run. Obviously I'm not going to pay to break the click, I'm just going to pay to break the end of the run. He's not going to res the other piece of ice, and he shows me a Jackson Howard. That then goes on back on top of R&D. So it wasn't worthwhile in the end, but I couldn't afford to leave it, and I needed to have a look. He's going to accelerate through with green level clearance. I just need to consolidate now, really. So I'm more, again, he's accelerating through his deck hard, looking for what would, well, we would presume either a Sansan or another Astra script. He knows I can get into that remote server now, so he does have to do something. I have the Magnum Opus to be able to accelerate my cash up and trash Sansans that go face down. So I'm still not in a bad position here. 4-2 up, although the Astro pretty much levels that score to 4-all. It's whether he can score a second Astro or get a res Sansan now. That's the key. And remote domination is hugely important against MBM. So just deciding what he's going to discard. Could be lightening his agenda density in hand or an R&D, or could just simply be getting rid of the cards he doesn't need. I've drawn up there what looks like another. Drawn up the Gordian that I had test run earlier, seeing a sure gamble there, and I'm just going to take 4 and prepare for a sure gamble turn, and hopefully get my economy going nicely. But losing the Corroder here has caused me problems. It means that I cannot use that indexing to any great effect. It's going to install and install, leaving the Jackson Howard on the board. Presumably that's a barrier of some kind. First click I'm going to draw. Second click I'm going to draw, looking for any kind of tutoring and just seeing nothing but economy. All 3 sure gambles now in hand, which I'm going to use 2 of, taking me up to a nice healthy sum of 13 credits. But I have left that remote untended, and here it comes. Res the Sansan. Install, advance, score breaking news, and close the counts. Oh, so the dream tag punishment combination there, leaving himself an extra click to be able to close my accounts after just using 2 short gambles. Absolutely heartbreaking. So I just take 6 and sure gamble. So I've still managed to get back up to 10 credits, which, to be honest, in one turn isn't exactly terrible from nothing. But I have had to leave the Sansan there untended, and it means now that he can score with it. He's on 3 points with a res Sansan and a scored Astro token. Not great. And again, it's just a great tempo play to be able to slow me right down and install. Oh, no, changed his mind. I don't know why. Oh, okay, there we go. So he's going to install, advance, and score the Beal. I'm not quite sure why he used the Astro token there. Did he install? I'm not sure. That still counts for 2 points. So I'm not sure why he did use the Astro there. It's only advancements over 3. So the Sansan doesn't really count. So he has the RSVP there in front of the Sansan, trying to stop me from trash it. I can obviously break through, but I don't have the money to break through the RSVP and to trash the Sansan. So a great play on his part. So I take another 2 credits, and then I run through and I trash the Sansan for all the monies in my bank. I couldn't leave the Sansan there, obviously. I'm still trying to figure out why he used the Astra script token on the Beal. I'm really unsure on that. He's on 5 points anyway. So he's taking some cash, using a hedge fund. Seen all his burst economy now by now, surely. He's played a lot of it. And he's going to install into that remote what could almost certainly be another Sansan there, and if it is, then I've got issues, because again I can't actually click and gain enough money to go in and trash it this turn. I'm going to draw first click, Diesel second click, and here again, probably a misplay on my part, probably should have been just taking the money, because this has become an economic battle more than anything else. And if that is a Res Sansan, that's a whole... If that becomes a Res Sansan, that becomes a whole world of pain. He's certainly got enough credits to be able to deal with it. A lot of low-cost ice. Not putting any pressure on R&D either, which isn't ideal. But he's been tempo checking me very, very effectively with the power shutdown and closed accounts. Obviously I got my Magnum taken off early on with the roto turret. A deck full of little quirks and surprises. I think there's even a one-off snare in this deck. Just throwing people off. Not quite sure what to expect, so to speak. I'm going to run archives and get locked out by a pop-up window. Joy. I was trying to take the Jackson off the board there. Silly me. Again, I should have probably been taking money that turn rather than drawing. I don't think drawing up was the correct play. I think I need to discard some cards there, actually. So he will run, and he will score the Beal. I didn't really have a huge amount of options there in going in and actually trying to score the agendas in hand. He did tell me at this point that he only had one agenda in hand, as you can see. So I was sort of 1 in 3 chance, which is okay, but I can only afford to have done it once, and it still wouldn't have won me the game, but it would have denied him the win. Probably not quite aggressive enough here on his centrals, but he played very well. Great tempo checking, and a thoroughly deserved win on his part. So we move on to game 2.